Welcome to Moto State Podcast, where we talk about motorcycles, life, and everything in between. I'm fine with it, going out this way as opposed to any other way.
It's your world, Ryan. I'm just trying to live in it.
Hey,
so
don't tell me it's not just my world.
No, it is.
Well, you got to ask the question
Ryan's
now.
world.
They need
What's
to
that?
they need to hear the question.
What are you talking about?
What's that?
What question?
You said you were going to ask the question and you were going to wait, but now
No, I will not marry you. That's weird.
God, the time is now,
man.
Luke. The time is now.
So when do you get your new motorcycle?
It's a great question, Luke.
I came up with it all on my own.
Yeah. So I will take delivery on, let me see, the week of the 17th is when I sign papers.
Ooh.
And the following week, either the 23rd or the 24th, I should take delivery. They're going to deliver it to my house.
That's awesome.
So for those of you who do not know, there's been some developments in my life. So, thank all of you who, kind of gave me some feedback and supported me through the situation with the, me being involuntarily unemployed. I secured some new employment, and the new employment is going to be a good situation for myself and my family. I will be away from home for a little while, 3 days a week, but that's only 3 days a week. So, but along with that, I had to, I've been thinking about some decisions for a while. And one of those decisions was what I wanted to do with the FXR. I know that I had put it out on a while ago that Bob and I were going to try to hold ourselves accountable, and we were going to rebuild and, go on this motorcycle journey with old bikes and that kind of stuff. And the more and more I started digging into it, the more and more I realized, while I like customizing bikes and making them my own, I don't know at this stage in my riding career, whatever, if I'm ready for journey, right? If I'm ready for a ground up kind of redo, which is not entirely what this motorcycle needed, but it needed a lot of things to make it, really rideable. And I enjoy riding a reliable motorcycle a lot more than I enjoy the idea of it being broken down on the side of the road. So with that being said, I did sell my FXR. It went on the sales block on a Monday, and it was out of my garage by Wednesday. So,
crazy.
I
not crazy though. When you think about it, was a nice bike. It's going to go fast. Yeah,
and I think that the person that has it, they're going to do some work to it and flip it, which is what they should do. Hopefully, it lands with somebody who is ready for an FXR project and wants to ride it. These guys will get it. These guys will get it rideable for sure. And then, unless they plan on making it an actual project bike, which they could do too, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I thought you were going to say the big decision was that the decision was new job, living away from home for a few days a week, and you're going to be living in a nudist colony. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that remains to be seen.
I hope it's never seen by me, honestly, but that's just me. I don't know
whether this new job includes that or not. I'm not really sure, but no. So I still am, going to be in the healthcare world, working as a radiology director again in a hospital, which is probably which is the best fit, I think, for me. And at a hospital just a little ways away from me. So, but in addition to all that, after I sold my FXR and I had gone down to Louisville, had some conversations with Tony, and I know that many of you know that I rode a Pan America last year when I went to Dave's Celebration of Life and kind of fell in love with it. I decided that that was going to be my next journey. And so I went on the hunt. I did some research. I did my homework. I kind of weighed the pros and cons of a used Pan America because you can find them out there for very reasonable. And I know some changes were made after the 24 year that make them extraordinarily much more reliable, because there were some issues that they needed to address in the first couple of years of that motorcycle Harley's venture into the uh, ADV world was new to them, so they hadn't quite figured everything out yet. And so I decided that I would get a brand new 2026 Pan America Limited.
Ooh.
So all the bells and whistles, all the things, all the
it's pretty. Brian sent me a video of it. The dealership got it in. It's
the Onyx Pearl White or whatever. White Onyx Pearl, I think is the name. I'm not really sure what the color name is, but it's the white.
It's
one.
That color that's badass. It's badass.
Yeah,
what it is.
It's got. Listen, from the step down from the CVO, it's got pretty much everything except for the specialized paint that the CVO has on it.
Can't beat that.
150 horsepower right out of the box, almost 100 foot-pounds of torque. I mean, it's fucking it's ridiculous.
Can't wait to see you ride a wheelie down the road on that thing.
Yeah, right. It's faster than the CVO with the 121 in it. So, like, significantly faster. It's ridiculous. So
I'm sure you'll figure that out real quick.
Yeah, I can tell you one thing. I'll keep it out of sport mode until I get used to riding the bike and figure out, all of the things. And I'm very new to. I'm not going to act like I'm some fucking Superman here. I'm very new to off-road riding, and so I've got a lot to learn. So I've been going down that rabbit hole for a while now.
Nice. So I while you're celebrating a new bike, I uncovered this parking ticket from Mama Tried that I forgot to pay this week, so I need to dispute that. That's my life. You were celebrating a new bike. I've got a $40 parking ticket. So
from parking downtown?
No, this is at Mama Tried on Sunday, the second day.
Oh.
So I parked in front of the sign, and it said no parking, and it had the arrow pointing in front of me. It actually was pointing both ways. There was a sticker over the arrow, one end of the arrow.
Oh.
So I thought it was just everything in front of that sign, right? Ahead. That's incorrect. The sticker. So I took a picture of it. I'm going to dispute it. City of Milwaukee, coming for you. I don't know. I'll probably still have to pay this damn thing. I may start a GoFundMe.
A GoFundMe for your ticket.
Yeah,
that's a great idea. That is
$40.
a solid idea.
Yeah.
Solid idea.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Set your goal. Set your goal so you can at least pay for the postage to get it there.
Well, it's gonna be a lot. I'm gonna mail it in pennies. Fuck those guys. Just kidding. Not the police, just the meter maid. How about that? Anyway. Well, that's exciting. I'm happy for you, dude. Like, what a quick change of events for you, right? Like being laid off.
Yeah.
And like most times, you don't see that coming. I know I've been laid off. I did not see it coming. And, it's a scary, whether you're in a place where you're going to be okay for a while, dual income family, or you've saved up money or low in debt, whatever it is, you're going to be comfortable, okay for a little while or not.
Mm-hmm.
It is scary because, you get to be our age too, man. You need health insurance, and you need, and obviously just the older we get, the harder it is to find a job. So good for you for finding a job quickly. That says a lot about you and what you bring to the table. And then on top of it, you sold your fucking FXR, bought a freaking brand new Pan Am.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Love it, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. It was, there was, I got a few comments from some friends that kind of knew, and they were like, oh, I feel bad that you sold the FXR, or sorry you had to do that. And to everybody out there, I didn't have to do anything. It was actually a very conscious decision. I had been weighing the idea of keeping it for a while, and I'd had that bike for 4 years. I rode it one time. Luke brought up an interesting thing to me. He said, my experience with an FXR was probably not the best first experience for being an adult and riding one. It probably would have been a lot better for me to have purchased one that was straight up rideable when I got it.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, this one needed some stuff done to it. And I think I I don't know if I waited too long. I feel like maybe I should have just brought it home and torn it apart right away and started working on it right away. If I would have had a dedicated space that I could have torn it down and worked on it, that might have been different because I could have, you know what I mean? I could have been buying parts little by little. It kind of got to the point where I had this list made and I started going down the list and I was like, I'll never get this money out of this bike, is kind of how I felt. Whether that's true or not, I'll never know.
Welcome to owning an FXR.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And then the realization that I think that there was a lot of nostalgia, there was a lot of feeling, not a lot of thinking in my head. There was a lot of thinking with my heart involved in the purchase of this bike. And if I think if I had to go back and do it again, I probably wouldn't buy it, to be honest, because
Sure.
you know,
Well, for the reasons you gave.
yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. So, I made the decision, honestly, when as soon as he put it in the trailer and strapped it down and handed me the check and I put the check in my pocket and he closed the door to the trailer, I had this giant sigh of like relief. Like I'd been holding on to this burden for 4 years and I didn't know what to do with it. And now it's gone. And
your gut told you, right?
Yep. And it felt liberating, to be honest with you. And so now I'm on for this new adventure and I'm really excited.
Yeah, and worth noting, you sold that after you got your new job. So it wasn't a financial decision, it was a
Correct.
practical decision. And where your heart really was.
Correct. Yep.
Follow your heart, Ryan. Follow it.
There you go.
It'll steer you in the right direction.
Yeah.
Unless she's a stripper.
Yeah.
Probably won't.
Also, then you might not be following your heart also.
You definitely ain't following your heart.
True. So yeah, I just and just, kind of like some of the things that Tony said, going down this rabbit hole of something new, not really knowing, I found my identity in the cruiser market very easily and very quickly. And so I know what I'm comfortable in and where, it goes to everything like the gear and all of that stuff. Right. And so now I'm in this new world and it's new and exciting and all of the things kind of all over again. So
sure, I'm excited for you.
Yeah. And I'm not right now. I'm not looking at selling my my Road King, but we'll see. We'll see where this adventure thing takes me.
It's interesting. You just shared your experience about getting away from really a sport touring bagger to dual sport type bike.
Mm-hmm.
And you just literally said, maybe I'll sell my bagger, maybe I won't. Tony, completely, we referenced him. He, if you heard that episode, he got away completely from street bikes. He's all off-road now. We had Taylor from Shifter Crew on talking about how much he loves his Pan Am. He still has his Road Glide, but he really, really loves his Pan Am. Who else have we had on talking about their I feel like we had someone else. Either way.
Whit rides.
I'm sorry, Whit. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you feel that maybe baggers are going out of style, or maybe not the best way to put it, out of style, or maybe just losing popularity?
That's it's a super interesting thing that you bring up. So I do know from, if you go into dealerships right now and you look around at at what they're selling in dealerships, you're going to find a couple of Sportster S's, you're going to find a couple of Nightsters, you're going to find quite a number of lowriders and lowrider S's, and almost everything else is baggers. You will find, depending on the size of the dealership, like I went to a pretty large dealership in Louisville, Bluegrass Harley Davidson, so very large dealership, and they really had, the majority of the bikes they had in there were baggers, trikes. They had about 4 Pan Ams, so they had one Pan America Limited like I have. They had a couple of used ones upstairs in their used area. They had 3 of the STs, the Pan America ST, or specials, I guess they are, not ST, special.
Mm-hmm.
So without all the bags and accoutrements and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
The majority of what they had there was cruisers, though. I think they had 1 or 2 Nightsters, 1 or 2 Sportster S's. They had, everything else was that in their cruiser or touring lineup. They had a couple of heritage bikes, but a lot of baggers, a lot of them. So I think the baggers are still being sold at a very high rate. I think that they're still the most popular motorcycle out there right now. I just think that what we're seeing on social media is an evolution of people that have always been into those that are opening up or broadening their horizons.
You know what else hasn't lost popularity? Moto State merch. Just going to throw that out there. You visit our website, motostatepodcast.com. There's a link to our merch store where you can get cool hats, shirts, hoodies, tank tops. I call them toboggans. Ryan calls them beanies. He's wrong. I'm right. All those things. So if you're in a hankering for a new shirt, hoodie, hat, whatever, we'd love for you to support us by purchasing some Moto State merch. All right, on to our normally scheduled program.
I mean, what do you think? I mean, I just kind of waxed on for about 5 minutes of my thoughts. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, you talked for so long, I forgot what I was going to say. Just kidding. I think, I look at, instead of saying, well, speculating this, speculating that, I'm basing off what I've seen or heard. So, reference Tony, Witt, Taylor, now you, more and more people I feel like I know or have met are buying Pan Americas or talking about buying one. Even Alicia for Fuel Apparel, actually wearing her hoodie. She had a Pan America for a little while and just didn't have time to ride it. It was that just what it came out. She wasn't using it. Sold it just because single mom and kid, things happen. I think that when I look at with Cycle Showcase last month here in St. Louis, there was not a lot of baggers there at all. There was the Hero Indian Challenger that we saw at Mama Tried as well.
Yep.
There was what we saw at Mama Tried as well, that old 76 with Electroglide or whatever it was, anniversary. That was there. And there was a few other baggers, but not many. And the 2 baggers I just mentioned, I think may have been the only 2 baggers that we saw at Mama Tried. It was all choppers.
It was a lot of choppers.
And,
yep.
Yeah. And so, and for how many years, if you follow Jace Hudson and Fast Life Garage, I mean, he had baggers. Now, granted, he just got a bagger for the first time in a few years that he's had one. That is a deal with Harley he has, but that thing's filled with choppers and FXRs and has been. He's been baggerless for at least a couple of years now. So it just, I look at that and I'm like, is it the cruiser? And like when I went to their T-Bar Tuesday bike night, I think there wasn't that many baggers there, but there was a whole lot of cruisers. There's a whole lot of lowriders, choppers, lowrider S or ST, choppers. There's definitely a few baggers, but I don't know. It's just it feels like, yeah, you still listen. You're gonna see plenty of baggers out there, but I feel like at least in my experience, people I've been around, people I've followed on social media, there's a lot of people that are getting away from baggers, or they're adding to the fleet and it's the opposite of a bagger.
Right. Well, and it's interesting because I'm getting the limited, which essentially comes with all of the panniers on it, right? So it's essentially a sport touring motorcycle. That's what it is, right? It's a dual sport, whatever you want to call it, because the Pan America is probably not a true like off-road or ADV because it's big. It's a big, heavy bike. Now, the funny thing is that I say it's a big, heavy bike, but it's like 200 pounds less than my Road King.
Yeah.
So it's a big, heavy bike, but it's going to feel really light to me because of, that it is truly way lighter than my Road King.
and
Um,
a lot more horsepower
and a
and lighter.
way faster, way
Crazy.
lighter. Yeah, so it's gonna be complete different riding position. So it's gonna be a
Oh yeah.
completely different ride for me, right? But I mean, I think what we're seeing though is the evolution or maturation, right? Maybe people maturing a little bit into um, a different style, a different idea of riding. I think people are they've cashed in their cool kid card and now they are more serious about maybe how they want to ride, or they're looking for a different type of adventure. You know what I mean? Like I really have enjoyed motorcycle camping, right?
Sure.
But I will tell you that there are times when I have gone places and thought this would be easier on an adventure bike because of where I am. Right, I'm riding my a number of years ago we rode into this place in the hills of South Dakota called Horse Thief Campground. It's a beautiful campground, but it is truly in the hills. You're camping right in the middle of the Black Hills,
Hmm.
and we were camping up on a bluff, and to get up there you had to go up this gravel road. Not a big deal, except the gravel road had been washed out. It had an area where the road was washed out and there was deep ruts in it. Inside those ruts were larger size rocks. You had to pick a path, one side of the rut or the other. If you were on your bagger and you got in that rut, you were going down. There was no question about it. And then if you picked the right hand side of the rut, you had to cross it to get into our campsite area. So it just really wasn't, where we were camping wasn't really conducive to a bagger bike. Now, we all were riding some sort of cruiser style bike, right? Everybody that came up there, one of the guys even came up there and camped with us, was riding a Fat Boy. But the rest of us
Gotcha.
were all on either baggers or Softails that were completely packed down. That whole thing would have been easier on a Pan America or a sport touring style bike because it's just a little bit more designed for that type of riding.
Sure.
The other thing is, having ridden a Pan America, the suspension is a whole different animal than you get on a bagger. It is, for all intents and purposes, more comfortable because it's a cushier ride. It's more, and all of the different features in it also adjust the suspension at the same time. You know, the bike is
Hmm.
tall. So the Pan America has a 42-degree lean angle. Think about that.
Damn.
42-degree lean angle is redonkulous.
If I leaned at 40 degrees, I would also then be sliding on my ass
Correct.
across the road.
Right? So
I'm not a racer
but
or just that talented.
but that's how tall the bike is, and it
Sure.
has adjustive ride
get it.
height, so it goes up and down. I mean, anyway, I'm not going to just, I'm not here to sell anybody a Pan America. I'm just saying that I think that what we're seeing is just an evolution of how people are riding and what they like to ride and what they feel comfortable with, and where they want to be. Does that mean baggers are going out of style? I don't think baggers are ever going to go out of style where I live in this area of the country, ever.
I think that performance baggers has been overplayed to a certain extent, shoved down your throat with so many companies offering aftermarket parts, and everybody's offering their version of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not an insult to any aftermarket company.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll reference OG Moto. We had them on the show, and they said it's hard. They said it themselves. It's hard to come up with something new.
Mm-hmm.
It's a challenge to come up with something new
Mm-hmm.
that hasn't already come out for the baggers.
Mm-hmm.
Floorboards, handlebars, risers, triple trees, blah 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 blah. Now their product's awesome. I mean,
Yep.
look at that that turbo bagger that they had down in Daytona, beautiful bike,
Yep.
amazing bike.
Yep.
I think the aftermarket is so saturated, and Tony talked about it. He goes, I was building the same bike every time.
Right.
I think it's that. I think that you're seeing a shift in simplicity. Now, if you're going an old school chopper or building a new chopper, there's nothing simple about it. I mean, Ashley's talked about it, right? With her, she built one fresh motor, made the frame, or sorry, bought the frame and built it how she needed and all that, and built it for her. But still, you got an old Evo, even rebuilt like your FXR. I mean, if you rebuilt it, there's it's not a brand new M8 or a 5-year-old M8 or whatever. And also, let's talk about the simplicity piece of it. All these damn bikes at Daytona, beautiful craftsmanship, but man, there was a lot going on with those bikes. I mean, it looks like, I don't know what, the rainbow and the paint scheme wheel just threw up on so many of these bikes. It was just too much going on with a lot of these. And I think people are just like overwhelmed. It's overwhelming. It's like, all right, let's simplify this. I got a 2-gallon tank. I got, or whatever. Or like you've talked about offline, you and I, that I'm just buying the Pan America. I'm not really doing anything to it. I'm just going to ride it.
Yep.
And that's what it's built for, just to ride.
Yep. I've been doing my research, and there's probably 2 or 3 things that I'm going to want to do to it. But they're absolutely
they're for practical reasons.
Practical
correct?
Or comfort mods, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like highway pegs, because I have got freakishly long legs. So I just need a different position, and I'm getting the most like low profile, hidden kind of situation that I can. I just don't want them to be obvious at all. I'm going to do bar like risers, because that seems to be like the biggest mod that most people have done to their Pan America, is raise the bars. There's a lot of companies that just raise them up like 2 more inches beyond stock. And I'm still going to be able to see the infotainments.
I wish I was 2 more inches than stock. That would be awesome.
I mean, 2 inches you might hit bottom at 2 more inches, Luke. Who knows?
I doubt that.
You probably can't hit bottom at 4 inches, but
who said I was 4? I'll take it. It's great.
But I think that there's, like I said, probably 3 things. I mean, I'll be probably investing most of my stuff in gear. And what I love about it is the gear is so multifunctional. Like if you get a riding jacket and pants, they're also your rain gear. You don't have to change your shit. You know what I mean?
That's nice. Yeah.
This bike that I'm getting is like the first bike that it's fully loaded. It has heated grips. I mean, there almost isn't anything that this thing doesn't have. And I'm astonished by that. Now, the other thing that I would like to say is, and this is in regards to the baggers, is that the other thing that's happened in the last, let's say 5 or 6 years, let's go back to say 2018, let's say 18, 19 is when the performance baggers really started to hit, right? There was people making them in 17. I think, 18 and 19 is when you were seeing them. I started doing mine in like 18, or I would say 19, 20. And I know that my bike is still in my area of the country, takes forever for shit to get here, right? My bike is still very different from any baggers. You're just not seeing a lot of T-bars on baggers up here. But let's be honest, it wasn't until 20 or 21 that the baggers were showing up at Sturgis with T-bars on them, right?
Sure.
So, but what happened to the baggers between that time and now is that they got to be, they went from 27,000, 30,000 for a brand new bagger. Now what's a brand new bagger now? 42?
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't even looked.
You look at this CVO is 60, like a Road Glide CVO is 60,000.
And that's 20 grand more than it was 5 years ago.
Right. And so if you're looking at making a performance bagger, now let's be honest, performance bagger parts aren't cheap. You're looking at $400, $500 for foot controls, right? Yep. Another, if you're not doing a bar install on your own, you're paying for the bars and $1,000 in labor to do bars.
Yep.
I mean, so 2-in-1 exhaust. They come with the short bags. Most of the baggers do now, so you're not changing out your bags. But you got $4,000 or $5,000 in suspension. If you're going to do brakes, you got another $2,000 in brakes and rotors. I mean, so you're buying a $60,000 bagger and you're going to put another 20 grand into it. And then if you really want to go all out, you got to do another $10,000 paint job. Now you got a $100,000 bagger. Does that make any fucking sense at all?
Well, I think that I think people are just tired of baggers and fixing them up to a certain extent, because before performance baggers, you had big wheel baggers.
Right.
So you were lowering it. You're putting
You're making
You
it
know,
unrideable though.
there's very few people laying down miles on big wheel baggers, but
Right.
but they were doing the same thing,
Yep.
the same mods. Now
Yep.
the paint was different, the
Yep.
wheels looked different, whatever, but it was the same mods for every single one
Yep.
with their own touch,
Yep.
including paint. Now it's performance mods and their own touch on paint.
Yeah.
And I think that I think it's just people are fatigued by it, and it's time to move on. And I really think it. I could be wrong, but I think that after seeing all these clips from Daytona, that like I said, these bikes are so busy, so much going on that it's. I mean, if you're gonna do that, it's all just paint.
Right.
To me, why? I mean, what are you supposed to look at? The turbo, the motor work, the bar and riser setup and floorboards, or what accent colors, or the paint job with all these graphics and flames and everything else. I mean, beautiful craftsmanship. I'm not taking anything away from the work that's been done. It's just there's so much going on. Like, how does that work?
Yep. You're absolutely and exactly right about the simplicity of everything, which is that's what's drawing me into it, right? I'm buying a bike I have to do almost nothing to, and it's going to get me back to riding, right? I'm going to be thinking about riding a lot more, and then getting back to the experience. That's the one thing you don't have, like in the ADV world. They're not riding their bikes to a bike night or whatever and sitting around and talking about their motorcycles. They're living the experience of motorcycling. And I'm not criticizing it. It's just that one of the things that I've noticed very differently about that world is it brings you back to simply what motorcycles are about, which is riding them. You know what I mean? And I do think that's a little bit even like the younger generation that are building these, they're building they're building a lot of Sportster choppers, right?
Right.
But it's a disposable motorcycle. There's a million Sportsters out there. You can get into that for very simply, not a whole lot of money. You can build a chopper out of it for not a whole lot of money. And when you're not in it for a lot, you're going to be in it for the experience, because you can still get on that Sportster chopper and ride it across the country.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And so I think that simplifying, and I don't hate this idea of simplifying. I really don't.
Well, obviously you don't.
Right. Obviously I don't.
You sold a bike that was going to need consistent maintenance, more consistent maintenance than even your 2017 Road King, let alone, and obviously a lot less than a brand new any motorcycle, hopefully.
Right. Well, I will say this. So getting into a Pan America, there's some things that are going to be very different for me. Pan America requires chain maintenance, which is, I mean, you got to do it. You can't fuck around.
But what I'm saying is that you will have the FX. I know firsthand the FXR. There's more things to check, more things to keep an eye on.
Right.
It's just an older bike, just like an older car.
Right.
Or my house. It's 113 years old.
Right.
I mean, shit's breaking every day, whatever.
Right.
So.
Well, like an FXR, you really got to do your T-clocks, right? You really got to go through and check all your shit to make sure that you didn't have something loosen up. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If you Loctite, if you put blue Loctite on a part that you put on an M8 bagger or Softail, if something loosens up, it's your own fault because you fucked up somewhere. Because it doesn't create enough vibration to loosen shit up anymore. They're just a more refined motorcycle. I can tell you that I've never lost a screw or a bolt on my Road King. Now, knock on wood, but I just haven't. And so, there's
those Evos, man. You'll feel like you got Parkinson's at times, man.
Right.
It's just what it is. That's that motor. But man, it sure is fun.
And I'm not. Here's the other thing too. Is like I've been looking around online and stuff. I don't even think I'm changing the exhaust on this bike. Like, I want it to be what it is. Like, I'm not trying to make it into, like, I have a loud bagger. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to make it into a loud bagger. I want it to be what it is.
Does that feel weird? Does that feel different?
It feels super empowered. is
Okay.
what it feels. It really it does. And the reason why I think is because I've done all of the other stuff. So I don't
Mhm.
really feel like I have anything to prove. Like for the first time, I truly feel like all of this is for me. You know what I mean? And not that I was trying to prove anything before, that I was doing mods to my bike before that weren't for me, but I feel like there's a prescriptive or a expectation if you're building your bagger a certain way that you do X, Y, and Z, right? It was kind of
Sure.
funny because a number of years ago, there'll be some people that will remember this. We had a conversation with SNS and they were like, "Oh, you're building a performance bagger. What have you done to it?" And I told them the things and they laughed and they were like, "So you have a performance looking bagger?" Because I hadn't done anything
Right.
performance to it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Everything I'd done to it was for aesthetics to have it,
Right.
but I hadn't done at that point. I hadn't done a cam. I hadn't done a 2-into-1 exhaust. I hadn't, you know what I mean? I
Sure.
I really hadn't done I'd done a lot of cool kid mods, but I hadn't done a lot of things to increase the performance of the motorcycle. I hadn't done suspension, right? All of those
Right.
things I've done now. So,
Sure.
and
Well, I think
I don't regret doing them. I just think that they're like, if you're going to build a performance bagger, there's a kit, right? If you're
yeah.
riding an ADV bike, it's it's about riding. If you're building a chopper, it's not about a kit. It's about what's in your head and what you want it to look like and how you want to ride, right? A guy that's building a chopper to ride across the country is going to be could be very different than the guy that's building his chopper to ride it to bike night.
If you're building a chopper if you're building any choppers, especially one you're gonna lay down miles on, it's probably the most customized bike
Yeah.
that they'll ever be made, and for you, that you will make because you're building it specifically for you. And if you look like what Ashley did, I mean, she was that's frame up build. So
Mm-hmm.
literally, I mean, there's parts on there that are one off, made just for her and that
Mm-hmm.
bike. Just how it works.
And ideas and what she had in her head and what she wanted it to
Yep.
look like, or and you might build a chopper if you're going to build it to bike night that maybe doesn't even have a sissy bar, but if you're traveling across the country, you're going to put a big old sissy bar on it so you can strap a
For
bag
sure.
on it and put your tent in and all the shit you're going to bring with you. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and if you're
I
building
think,
a shovel head or an Evo or an FXR chopper, you might bring some parts with you that you wouldn't if you were building a
oh,
different bike.
absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And we've talked to people, or, I think you've talked to some people, I've talked to some people that had, um, early models of the Pan Am, and there was certain parts even on that they brought with them because they were prone to have some issues. And again, early model, first year model, second year model of a brand new motorcycle or vehicle or whatever, there's going to be issues, and that one had it as well. I think that you get to a point in your life, not everyone, but I'll speak for myself. I got to a point in my life. I mean, the cars vehicles I've always done something to, some exhaust, tint the windows. When I was much younger, stereo systems or whatever, brush guards, racks on the roof, whatever. Um, and that carried on into my 40s. I mean, my truck now is deleted and there's exhaust and leveling kit and tires and rims and tinted windows, and the thing runs great. It's a lot of fun. Now that I've said that, it'll probably break down, but but I already know in my mind that the next vehicle is going to be very minimal change. Maybe it's exhaust, maybe it's not. I'll definitely tint the windows, help in the summer, and that's it. I mean, I've gone through that, and especially like with, I now motorcycles I'm not there, but vehicles I am. Like I took a '94 Bronco and did a mod on it. Like motor was going out, so I made it a diesel. I made it a 5-speed manual, custom front and rear bumpers and racks, and this thing a soft top and Rhino line. Like, man, I dumped a ton of money in that thing and had a lot of fun with it. And if anybody wants to buy it, let me know. But because you didn't see a turbo diesel Bronco out there. It was a lot of fun, and but I think I've gone through that phase, or I don't know if I call it a phase. I mean, that's just something I've done for over half my life. I'm ready to move on with something that's more simple, that you don't have. I mean, with the exception of the FXR, I want my cars and my bagger to be simple, and to I don't have to worry about working on and reliability, because I think you may fall in this category too. We've talked about it, is there's only so much time we have to take trips and to ride, and we want to make the most of that. So reliability becomes a big part of that. And I'm not saying that you can't have an old FXR or a chopper or whatever, an older whatever, and it not be reliable. But you have more risk, obviously. The older anything is, it's just I'm old. The risk of me pulling a hamstring or twisting my ankles is a lot higher than it was 20 years ago. It just is what it is, right?
Hmm.
So, I think that plays into it as well.
Yeah, I think it, I think barrier of entry has something to do with it, right? With baggers being less popular, as new baggers are a lot more expensive now.
Oh, speaking of barrier of entry, if you would like no barrier entry to listen to our Patreon only episodes, you can join Patreon. We have 2 levels that you can join at either $5 or $10 a month. Each level $5 level gets you certain perks. $10 level gets you even more. One on one, or not one on one, but Patreon chats with Ryan and I once a month. Quarterly giveaways for Moto State merch that I mentioned earlier, and your own off the record episodes that we put out periodically throughout the year, that only Patreon members get to listen to and see.
There you go.
And now back to your regular scheduled program.
You heard it here first. Yeah,
I'm getting good at this, man. I made
look at
notes.
you.
I'm remembering. Yeah,
Look at you.
good.
No, it's definitely one of those things. I think that it's interesting, right? I think it's an interesting thought process because, like you and I have both said, I think the other thing that's happening too is that there are people that have the baggers. I think everybody's looking for their next adventure. I think that's kind
Sure.
of part of it, right?
Yeah.
And
Adventure
so
or experience.
right. Here's the other thing. So I had to be honest with myself and stay true to my roots, right? Which is I had an opportunity to go out and get any kind of motorcycle that I wanted. And I did still buy a Harley, right? I could have bought any kind of other adventure bike. I could have bought a BMW, could have bought a GS, a GS 1200 or I guess it's a 1300 for the same size of bike. I could have bought a Yamaha Tenere like Tony has. I could have bought a KLR. There's a lot of things I could have gotten, right? I mean, I could have
Sure.
gotten a KLR and been free and clear of any type of, payment or whatever pretty much, and still been able to do the things that I want to do with the Pan America. But I wanted to stay true to my roots. I'm a Harley guy. That's, I'm not going to hide that. Not that I'm opposed to any other bike. I think looking at adventure bikes opened my brain, and it certainly opened my brain to some things that we're going to discuss in future podcasts about the types of bikes that are out there. I mean, I went into a couple power sports dealers and I was fucking blown away. And I think we'll talk about that in a future episode. But during that same time frame, I also went into 3 or 4 different Harley dealers and looked at their bikes and their stock. And here's what I quickly realized. There was nothing that had my attention more than the adventure motorcycles of all ilk. That was just the truth. Like I saw a fully customized Lowrider ST and I was like, that thing is fucking badass. But I didn't see it as a second motorcycle. I saw it as a replacement for my Road King. I didn't see it as a second motorcycle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, one could argue getting a Pan America that the Pan America can do all of the things that my Road King can do, and it can do a whole bunch of things that it can't. So there's that, right?
Yeah. I feel like though I think it's the same for me and my FXR, and I feel like it's gonna be the same for your Pan Am and your Road King. It is 2 different riding experiences.
Yeah.
So I think that there's enough separation there where you could take your Pan Am wherever you want, road trip or whatever. I could do the same with my FXR.
Yep.
It just, then you have choices, right? How do you want to experience that weekend trip, that week-long trip, whatever it is, which is still pretty cool at the end of the day. But where did it all start, Ryan? It started with you riding a Pan Am.
Yeah. That's truly, yeah. I'd never sat on one. I'd never ridden one. I'd never got on one, never experienced it. And when I went out for Dave's celebration of life, I had an opportunity. Walter, my buddy, he said, here's my Lowrider S. Here's my Pan America. These are the two bikes we're going to take to his thing. Pick the one you want to ride. And I'm like, well, of course I want to ride the Pan America. I've never ridden it before. This is what I want to ride. And in the first 15 or 20 minutes of the ride, I was pretty uncomfortable, to be honest with you. And the bike wasn't uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable riding it because I don't know how to ride it, right? I'm not good at it. But the more I rode it, the more I loved it. I was stopped at an intersection and I turned and did something, whatever, and the bike started to tip on me and it got past the point of no return and I muscled it back up. You want to know why? Because it's 200 pounds lighter than a touring bike. I would have dropped it if it would have been a touring bike because I was past that point of no return. I liked that. I liked sitting so much higher that when I pulled up next to a car, I wasn't looking in the window. I was higher than they were. There was a lot of things. I felt probably overconfident in traffic, right?
Because you were sitting up, your line of sight
sitting
was
up
higher.
a little bit. I was higher. It was a little bit different riding experience. The power was instantaneous and quick. It was
Okay.
quick. You know what I mean? So I felt like I could get out of trouble faster. There was just I really liked it. And then I liked the idea that if I was, to give you some context, a couple of years ago, we were heading back from South Dakota and we Google mapped a route that was going to be different than any route that we had taken home. And we get about 10 miles down the road and the road becomes to an abrupt end and it's gravel in front of us. And Google Maps was telling us to keep going, and we were all on our touring bikes, and we were like, we don't want to go down that gravel road.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm taking that route. I'm going down that direction. You know what I mean? So,
fuck you guys, I'm out of here. See ya.
right. It just opens the door to different, and how many times have you gone places on your bike where you have to pull into a grassy area or you're pulling into a dirt lot or whatever it is and you're like, fuck man, like I just spent all this time cleaning my bike today and got to look all pretty and now I'm driving through this dusty ass gravel lot, you know what I mean, just to go have a burger or whatever it is.
And I think that's pretty, that those are one-off situations. I mean, I think that most people are buying Pan Ams because they want that experience and to be able to, even if it's light off-road use, they could still have that ability to do that.
Right. But again, I don't want to make this about the Pan Am. I really want to continue to go down this road about whether baggers are going out of style. And I think more than anything, there are people getting rid of their baggers, right? And I think that there are people that are moving down to a Lowrider S or Lowrider ST because it offers a lot, or Lowrider ST because it offers a lot of the things that baggers do, but they're a lot lighter. They're a smaller platform for people who are vertically challenged.
Yeah.
They're lighter. They're lighter. They're a lower barrier of entry. And here's the thing that I really like about the Lowrider ST is that it's really a sport touring bike because it also has the larger size engine in it with the VVT and everything for the 26s, right?
Yep.
But it's that bike's what, 250 or 300 pounds lighter than a bagger. I mean, it's way lighter. Yep. It's way lighter.
From a price standpoint, barrier of entry, it's comparably priced to a bagger not that long ago.
Yes.
Right. So I can pay the same amount of money, have a lighter bike, and probably a bigger motor than what you're coming from, more than likely.
Yeah.
Unless you have a much newer bagger in this scenario, and you still have a fairing, you still have bags, you can add a tour pack, whatever.
And if you're one of those people that hates the clamshells that come on that bike, there's plenty of companies out there that are manufacturing paint matched regular bags that you can buy the hardware to mount up a regular bag on it. So
Advent Black and
Hogworks.
I see plenty of videos from sick baggers and Hogworks as well.
So I mean, there are a number of companies out there that do that. So I think that what's happening is you're just seeing a little bit of a shift in the marketplace a little bit. Baggers, I think, in my area of the country are still going to be king because of where we ride. It's such an open road kind of territory that it just kind of
Sure.
begs for the giant touring bike to be chewing up the miles. I think if you live in the Midwest, a bagger is still going to be the most popular bike. Um, that's just my thought. If you're really a touring person, a bagger's probably going to be the kind of person, the kind of bike you're going to be looking at, because that's what they're built for. I mean, they
Yeah,
really are
especially if you
built for
do a lot
that
of
touring.
two up riding.
Yeah,
If you do
yeah,
do any kind of two up riding on a regular basis, bagger is going to be way more comfortable. But
yep,
and that's what's really. I'm not ready to get rid of my Street Glide.
yeah.
Um, and that's why I haven't bought a Lowrider ST yet. I mean, I thought really hard last year about buying one, a used one,
Mm-hmm.
real hard, and decided not to because I knew that if I bought that, I would never ride my Street Glide,
Well,
and it
here,
would it defeat the purpose.
right. I mean, here's where I'm at. If I'm you, I'm waiting for the next 2 to 3 years until that next whiskey fade paint scheme comes out, or that
Oh
next
yeah,
paint scheme that you fall in love with, and
hmm
then your street glide's gone, right?
probably yeah,
I think that's the play for you, because I see it in terms of you, how you ride, where you live, what you want to do on a motorcycle. The Lowrider S can do everything your Street Glide can do. Lowrider ST can do everything your Street Glide can do.
hmm
It'll require you to do a couple more mods, but I think that you'll be just as happy because you're not too big for that motorcycle.
no, no,
And
no,
so I think yeah, if I was, I don't know, if I was in your position, that Whiskey Fade might have been the one that'd have been the one, the bike to pull the
that's
trigger on.
that's what I mean. That's I was looking real hard, and and I think also it helped the prices didn't, such as a special paint scheme. Prices did not drop as quick as the normal paint scheme on an ST.
Yep.
So that helped a lot. But I
Yep.
was like, yeah, this is what I need, a fourth bike. Here we go. A Heritage, an FXR, an ST, and a Street Glide. Anyway, it didn't happen, and I'm glad it didn't. I'm enjoying doing stuff still on my Street Glide, not just riding it, but I'm working on putting that. I need to finish putting the exhaust on now that it's warmed back up from Tab, and a few other mods, and just going through those, like getting ready to do front suspension. I've never done that before, so it'll be fun to have all those first on this Street Glide, because there is a level of sentimental value I have for that, because it's my first bagger, and I've really cut my teeth in my riding journey on that bike. So
Well, and to that point, like, I'm not abandoning my Road King, and I don't want anybody to think that. And I'm going to do the same thing and put the Tab 2-in-1 exhaust on mine coming up here, and I'm still very much looking forward to riding my Road King again.
sure,
I am just, I think more than anything, it's got me excited again. So I kind of do feel a little bit like what Tony was saying, um, about it's exciting. Um, I mean, I had virtually stopped watching motorcycle content on YouTube, right? And I have been every night. I have been watching motorcycle content again on YouTube, as much of it as I can find, in fact. Um, and what's crazy about it is it has led me to other motorcycle content even beyond ADV riding, right? So I've watched bagger content. I've watched
Hmm.
other content that I have, I watched some Matt Laidlaw. I watched
yeah,
Lead Sled Customs. I
okay,
watched a bunch of different stuff out there that that was on YouTube. It's just invigorated me a little bit, right? And that's okay. Um,
yeah. I mean, I think listen, at the end of the day, whether you've been in a profession for a long time, um, a relationship for a long time, sometimes you gotta put work into it. You gotta sometimes you gotta you gotta break the monotony, right? Hopefully your relationship isn't monotonous, but it's easy to get stuck into the regular life things, right? So sometimes you got to shake it up. And in this case, you're shaking it up, um, with a new motorcycle. And I, I I, I can I think I understand in some ways where you're coming from, because look, I'm putting less miles on my bagger, but because I'm riding my FXR more, but I'm having I'm having better experiences on my FXR with what I'm doing with it than I would on my Street Glide.
Sure.
And it's been a nice balance.
Yeah.
That sounds like that's what it's going to be for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I do think that last year's riding or lack of riding season had a big influence on some of the decisions I was making too, just in terms of not wanting to be working on the FXR. I think obviously my career or my job situation being working away from home, I don't want to come home and work on a bike for 4 days when I'm at home during that time. If I
Yeah,
want
you
to
got to
go
make
out,
the most of your time.
yep. If I want to go riding, I just want to get out and ride, and I could have done that on my Road King, no problem. But this, it just is it's so much of a like you said, maybe just a different balance. But that begs the question: um, the people that are moving away from baggers, I don't see them leaving motorcycling, which is a good thing, right?
Absolutely.
Um,
Correct.
I see them changing the bikes that they're riding. I see them modifying the bikes that they're riding still, so they're still feeding into the custom world of motorcycles,
Hmm.
but they're just not feeding into what was maybe the same bagger world. And the people that are buying new baggers, I think, are getting less and less into as deep of modifications as you were seeing before, right? I still think you're going to see people doing bars and seats. I still think you're going to see people doing cams and exhaust. But whether they're going to do all of the hundreds of other things that were part of the performance bagger kit, I think I think we're going to see that fad slowly go away. There's going to be parts of it that are going to stay.
I think it goes back to what I was saying. We've been overwhelmed with aftermarket parts for the baggers for so long that it's the ebb and flows of any business,
Mm-hmm.
or the motorcycle industry, and the motorcycle adjacent industries, which would be aftermarket parts. I think at some point, I feel like you're going to see a consolidation, or either a consolidation or just less aftermarket companies out there. And and then when there's less supply, that will naturally increase more demand,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all cyclical, it'll come back around. But it won't. I'm not saying that the performance baggers are going to stop and go away and then come back in 5 years, 7 years. I'm saying that there will be a new iteration of that. Well, I don't know what that'll be. That's performance baggers or something with baggers. There'll be another version of that,
Yeah.
and it'll probably look a little different.
I think there's going to be there's a certain number of things I think that are going to stay that the performance bagger community made the bikes more rideable. I think, like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I think you're going to see the seats situation is going to stay intact. The bar
Yeah.
situation is going to stay intact because, let's be honest, putting a bar and riser or T-bar or moto bar setup,
the functionality part of it's
Yeah.
definitely going to stay.
that's
for sure.
just a better ride. You have more control of the bike. It's just a better ride, right? You're going to see a I think your foot controls are going to stay, that kind of stuff. I think that the market is always going to be there for brakes and suspension. These things just aren't going to be done to every single bike that you see, right?
Sure.
You're going to see,
I
I think you're going to see versions of it out there.
Yeah, and I think that, to kind of, and what will contribute, I feel, to this smaller aftermarket parts market, and is with I think it'll shrink some, if not a lot. I think that the economy plays that into that too. If we're down 17% globally in motorcycle sales, one could argue, well, people, instead of trading their bikes in and buying new ones, they're putting more money into
The
those,
ones they have.
they could, but, are people not doing that and not doing anything at all? Like, the economy is going to play a piece of that in some way, and maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't, the aftermarket world. But I think some of the smaller one-off shops that are not diverse, that are just offering, a handful of things. I don't know that unless they're some of the best in the market at those handful of things, which could be, I don't see those folks,
Surviving.
the smaller ones, surviving. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think that's, but again, that goes back to then the ones that don't survive, the ones that do are gonna have cornered the market on what's out there, right?
For sure.
The other thing, like you were talking about the global economy, let's just say, because one of the things I thought about too is that it's way less expensive to camp than it is to stay in a hotel.
Sure.
Right. And so as things get more expensive, camping becomes a much more viable option as a livable experience. Right.
I don't see a huge jump in moto camping, regardless of economy. I think you'll see people take less trips.
Less trips as opposed to more camping. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because I think that folks that are, whatever that age number is, 55 and up, 60 and up, whatever it is, and there's probably plenty of people 40 and up. I'm not sleeping in a fucking tent when it's July or June or it's April and there may be a damn tornado come through here.
Right.
I'm just not, or just refuse to do it in general. Right. So I'm just not going to take the trip, or I'm going to take some weekend trips instead of a week-long trip. They're going to shrink those days traveled to save money.
Sure. I look at it like I have the potential now to camp in a place that I wouldn't have camped before.
You can make your own campsite now.
Correct.
Wherever the hell you want.
Right. So there's that.
So the next forest fire you hear about
could be me starting it.
This guy right here. This guy. Yeah.
It would be more like a flatland grassland fire than it would be a forest fire, but
Well, thanks for getting technical with that. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right.
But so a last part of this, do you think the popularity of baggers is going to have a geographical attachment to it in terms of, is it gonna like, are they going to become less popular on the East Coast and West Coast and work their way in, or do you think that it's a across the board kind of situation? See, I would agree with the one statement that you made earlier, which I think is probably a lot more aligned, is whether I don't think that they're going to get less popular as much as I think you're going to see things getting simpler, right? So people are moving away from maybe the $50,000 performance bagger builds. They might still get a bagger, but I don't think they're going to go all out on it anymore, right? Or they're going to move into a smaller bike and go all out on that one. A barrier of entry is lower, so they can spend more money on it, right? Or move to a chopper. But I think it's about simplifying rather than going balls to the wall, right?
Yeah, I think, and I could be completely wrong on this because I have not lived on either coast. I mean, I've lived in the Southeast and I've lived in the Midwest, but I would feel like, and you can make this argument 14 different ways, but coastal areas, especially warmer coastal areas, I think you're more prone to see less baggers. And I think the folks that are in colder climates, they're going to need to pack down more because they want to start riding earlier. So they're going to naturally pack more clothes. It's colder. You're going to need more storage. And the folks in the Midwest, to go to a coast, it's a long ride. It's 1,000 miles. For me, it's 1,000 miles to the East Coast. And it's way more than that to the West Coast. So, I think that you may see, to your point, you said earlier, may continue to see more baggers in the Midwest.
Sure.
Because again, it's not just clothing and packing down, but having a fairing, like a big fairing, a full size fairing, will go a
Right.
long way.
Right.
I could be wrong on that. That's my initial thoughts on that. I could be wrong. Certainly, challenge me on that in the comments or Discord or wherever. Let's talk about it. I'd like to hear your all's opinions on that, because I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't live on either coast,
Right.
so
Right. I would agree. All right, man. I think we killed this one. I think we talked about as much as we can talk about with where we feel like the state of baggers are right now.
Yep. So that's right. 2027, January 1st, you just won't see anymore. They're just gonna go away.
They're going to disappear. Baggers are going to be gone.
DUN done. Just kidding. I'll have mine. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in as always. Hope you liked the episode last week with Whit Mays. That was a good time chatting with her. That was a lot of fun. And look forward to having some more folks on the show here soon. And don't forget to subscribe and like and comment on these episodes. It just helps the algorithm and does us a big favor and continues to push this content to new viewers, which makes this podcast sustainable. So we appreciate everybody's support. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you next Monday.
Peace. We're out.